So thank you so much for joining me. And
Thanks for having me, Andrew.
how are you going first and foremost during COVID-19?
Look, I was going really well. I kind of hit a bit of a wall last week. I think just got over being at home too much. At home every day, juggling with the kids and homeschooling and all of that kind of stuff. I'd let my exercise slip. It kind of dawned on me just 2 days ago. I was feeling horrible. I was like, what's changed? Early on in the piece, I was loving it. And I realised what's changed is that I'd let the regular exercise in the morning slip. I'm in Melbourne. It's gotten freezing cold in the morning, so I'd been sleeping in a bit longer and getting out of bed and getting into work, but missing the exercise. And so I was struggling there for a while. Back at it now, back doing exercise the last couple of mornings and feeling much better for it.
Awesome, man. And actually, I wanted to say before we get into it, I wanted to thank you because I was going to say this off record, but I'm going to make it public. When we did it, because like when we did our Zoom, I was looking everywhere. I wanted to start the podcast. I got so confused about which software to use because you get stuck in YouTube videos like what podcast software or video should I use, and it's just like everyone's got a different opinion. You're like, no, man, just use Zoom, and I'll just basically watch me do it. So I wanted to say thank you for that inspiration and encouragement. I don't know whether you knew that, but I really appreciated that very much.
That's all right. That's awesome. That's nice of you to say.
Yeah, so you got me on course. Now you've unleashed a beast. I just wanted to let you know that.
Yeah, so you're up to episode 9 now. You're going well then.
Thank you, man. I am. I don't have as much luck and success as you do in getting people on. That's probably because you're smarter. Probably you're a lot better at this than I am, and you definitely look smarter than I do. So that's probably why you get more guests on the
My tip for you and anyone else that might be catching this afterwards is you've got to ask people. So you put a post out, like I'm sitting here today because you put a post out asking for people to join you, and you were kind enough to join me a while back when I did one. So kind of returning the favor. But what I was doing with most of it, I was actually directly messaging people saying, hey, I'm doing this thing. Would you be willing to join me? Particularly during isolation, everyone's sitting at home, got nothing else to do and not really talking to anyone new. So a lot of people were actually coming back. Probably a third of the messages went unanswered, but 2/3 of people came back and said, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. I'd love to join you. So,
well, I was watching. You had Nick Bell on, and obviously from being in SEO for so long, he's definitely someone that will be an interesting conversation to have. I know he's pivoted away from SEO. That would just be an interesting conversation because this is somebody that I've known of for a long time in the space, but never actually had a conversation with. So how did you find Nick? Talking to Nick. I've known Nick for, and you mean, how did I find him as in to talk to, or how did I get him to agree to sit down? Yeah, both. Yeah, either, both. How long have you known him for?
So like Nick's a champion, and you see a lot of the stuff that he puts out, the content that he puts out. He's very giving with his ideas, and he's more than happy to chat. He's unique in that, like, he's done very well in business for himself, but he's also very open to talking about his successes and failures. Whereas you find a lot of other people that have done well in business for themselves, they might have sold their business and walked away with a pile of money, but they're often very reserved about that. Whereas Nick will, when I chatted with him, and you can see it in the video there, he quite openly talks about like the dollars that he got and the offers that he was getting that he walked away from. Whereas not many people are that open to it. I guess I've known Nick from a distance for a little while. I was introduced to him by a client, an existing financial planning client of mine a while back. We've spoken on and off kind of ever since. And so I reached out to him saying I was doing LinkedIn Live interviews. Would he be willing to share his story with me via a LinkedIn Live? And he was gracious enough to say yes. And so I sat down with him for 20 minutes or so and just kind of picked his brain about what he did and how it all unfolded.
Awesome. And you are a natural, man. Like, I've watched some of your content. I'm like, you're Ray Martin 3.0, man. Like, You're very engaging. You're very. I don't know whether it's something you worked on, but I enjoy watching you for your presentation skills, because that's obviously an area that I definitely want to improve on.
It's just part of, I think. So if you went back to high school, and there's a few of the guys that I went to high school with are connected with on LinkedIn. When I first started doing videos on there, one of them reached out to me and he said, like, it's so strange to think like the person that people knew of me at high school, to think that I'm putting a camera in front of my face and talking. Like, that's just mind-boggling. I was the shyest, most reserved kid out there. I think I got over, and Gary Vee, and we're both big fans of Gary Vee. He's kind of been I've been watching enough of his stuff for long enough that it's like, I kind of got to this realization that, like, yes, you look like that. Yes, you sound like that. Everyone knows that it's only in your own head that you don't think your voice sounds like that and you've got nothing worthwhile to say. So I just started putting stuff out there, and it just snowballed. So it's not like practice or anything. It just like you, I sit and look at your stuff and think there's tremendous value in the stuff that you do. It's just the person that's doing it, they always think it's rubbish, but to someone else, it's great. So I get a lot of people kind of messaging me about doing videos for LinkedIn, and it's like, well, just do a video and put it out there. Like, it's going to be great. It's just you that thinks it's crap.
Yeah, and that was a conversation that I had when a lead called me, and they were selling cakes online and things like that, but they were very shy to go on social media because they worry about how their hair looks, and they're worried about their voice and this and that. I'm like, you've got to overcome it. If you're going to start a business, and this is how we consume content, this is how people engage with you, you've got to get over the stuff that you think is wrapping up in your mind, but you don't know whether that's everybody's same opinion of you. And even if it is, you just got to learn to deal with the haters. Like, I had people tell me my voice sounds like I've just eaten 6 razor blades, and I want you to go and end your life, like to that effect. And I'm just like, that's totally cool, man. Like, I mean, there's problems in those people in that person's life to want to discourage someone else like that, and you just learn to just water off a duck's back. But it's hard for a lot of people, and I can understand why it's wrong.
Yeah. So for a few weeks there, I was doing a daily live kind of interview thing like this on LinkedIn when we first went into isolation. And 2 or so weeks into it, one day after another, I had 2 different people comment on my live video saying, I'm getting no value from this. How do I unsubscribe from this? I had no interest in this. And like going back there and saying, well, you don't have to watch it. Like, it pops up in the feed. You don't have to sit there and watch it, is the first thing. But if you don't like it, just unsubscribe from me. Like, remove the connection request and you won't see it again. So people are going to, if you put stuff out there, someone somewhere is going to say they hate it, and you just need to accept that and move on. And so these 2 guys, I just went in and said, look, remove the connection, and so be it. Move on.
You're either the spectator or the player, man. And once you get in the ring, you got to just be ready for what comes with that. And I think when you run social media ads and you get 10, 15, 20,000 people on Instagram to watch your content, you do get some interesting comments. And people are ready to criticize you. But, I knew you were a Gary Vee fan because I'm like, this guy's on TikTok, and he's in the financial industry. And the reason that I think that's absolutely amazing is, man, and I'll tell you the reason that I'm on it. And but for you, it's like, I'm telling jewelers and where their demographic is literally on TikTok, and all the same things they're saying about TikTok, they said about Instagram. And when I see you on there, it makes me so happy because I want to show my clients who literally the demographics on TikTok, like the 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old girl or guy ready to propose, they're on TikTok, they're singing. Why wouldn't you want to be where they are? Especially their studio in Melbourne, and Melbourne has a big TikTok community. I'm just like, it's unbelievable that if you're not thinking about social media in that way. And when I see you on there, I'm like, I knew straight away this guy must be listening to Gary Vee or somebody. You're listening to the gurus, man, and so that's awesome. So I thank you for liking my stuff on there. But I noticed, and I think it's great that you're on there.
Trying to find my way on there. It's you won't find me. haven't yet built up the courage to do any of the dance videos. I don't think you'll see any of them from me at any time soon. But just trying it more than anything, just to see, what works, what doesn't, and just try and work it out a bit. So,
well, if you look at Instagram, it started you've got the picture of the camera. It was all really around photography and taking photos and selfies, and it's sort of just evolved into so much more than that. And that's the same thing that's going to happen in TikTok, and it's very interesting space. I get told that people come up to me and say, "You're have you heard of Gary V?" And I'm like, "Yeah." "You just like him," and I'm like, "Okay, well." That's not that great for me personally, because I feel like I don't want to imitate anybody. Do you have anyone that people tell you that you remind them of? Because I know who you remind me of.
Not really. I get there's a few, like I can spot the Gary V fans from the content that people put on LinkedIn, and they're doing podcasts and they're doing all of these different things, and it's brilliant. I would encourage more people to do it, and I'd like to get your views on it. But I can spot them, but I don't get anyone that says, "Oh, you sound like this person," or "You sound like that." Is there someone that you think I sound like, or remind you of?
I'll keep that off air. I'll tell you that after. No. I think it's great, and the thing is, like I said, like before, I reckon you're crushing it with the social media. And I knew anyone can just listen to somebody, but actually taking the advice, getting yourself up in front of camera, being vulnerable, be ready for the criticism. The one thing when people say, "You're like Gary V," and I always tell them the same thing. I remember getting up and shouting and screaming in 2008 when I was in my full-time SEO position, talking and actually having debates with other SEOs in the same company I was working for, when we would have this whole, and I'll get into it later, link building versus content marketing. Which one's more important if you could only focus on one? And I was always hammering content marketing. Always hammering it. Now, from an SEO point of view, I was hammering it. I wasn't hammering it from social media. But I remember before I even heard of Gary V, I was running ads on Facebook in 2012. And I look back at some of the dumbest things that I did, because I was actually generating inquiries and leads, but I stopped using it. And it was so cheap, man. It was ridiculously cheap. I'm talking like 8 years ago, like $10 would get me like 1,000 people. And they'll ask me, why did I stop? Because I got into this, which I've changed now, got into this SEO first, marketer second mindset. And now I've switched that and go, no, I'm a marketer first, SEO second. And I can elaborate. We can go into that more. But did you want to know my views on what? Sorry.
Well, just on that. Well, interesting point that you just made about like the cost of kind of advertising on these platforms and stuff. I've dabbled a little bit into paid promotion of a couple of videos on Facebook, more just to see like, what does this thing actually look like? What does the interface look like? But you're a bit more exposed to it than clearly what I am. Are you noticing a drop in the cost? That's what I'm hearing from other things I see. Is it cheaper now to put a video out and try and promote it? No.
Well, it depends when you're comparing it to. Like if they say they're comparing it cheap to like maybe before we went into COVID and during and then probably post, I definitely think there's obviously now it's probably is cheaper. If I go back to 2012, there's no way cost per impression is the same in 2012 as it is. And cost per month. Yeah, it has been. It has been. But when you spend $200, $300, $400, I'm not so much looking for impressions as I am engagement.
Okay.
So I change when you set up ads, you can choose whether you want the engagement, whether you want the likes, the comments, people buying from you and whatnot. I'm more looking for the engagement, looking for the DMs and the send message, like the businesses going, I'm sort of interested in SEO. Can you tell me a little bit more? And actually DMing me through the Facebook Messenger. Sorry, mate. I don't know if you heard that. Let me get rid of my Outlook.
Yeah, I got it. I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Facebook is completely dead unless you run ads. It's very, very difficult now without it. Instagram, there's still a bit of organic reach you can do, but it's still very ad friendly. It's still Zuckerberg wants your cash. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, like I haven't run a LinkedIn ad in probably over a year, and the last time I did it was very expensive. It does get engagement, but I want to mix that in with my colleague of mine's B2B social selling, Jeff Yang, which I did a podcast before, number 8. That was very interesting service that he set up and pioneered in Australia. So YouTube, I haven't actually started YouTube pre-roll ads. I'm still looking for a really good videographer to help me sort of. I think I want that to be a little bit more edited. But I think I'm doing enough. I'm doing so much social media, man. I'm not. What I need is someone to help me do the editing and all that sort of stuff, because I'm producing so much content. It's on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter, that TikTok, that it's sort of. I want to pull that back a bit and get better quality rather than just spitting out the quantity. So that's where I'm heading. Yeah. So you haven't run ads yet?
I've looked. So First Financial runs ads. So the business that I work for. So they do ads, targeted to particular demographics and things across Facebook mainly. And the keywords on Google, I think it is. I'm not too heavily involved in it, but there's a fair bit of that goes on. Me personally, because yes, in financial advice, it's much more a person-to-person relationship. Like someone's going to want to seek out my assistance because they know, like, and trust, that kind of that combination there. And so I do a lot of work for myself to try and build my own network as an employee of First Financial, because someone's going to come and want to work with me because they know me and have gotten to know me over a period of time, more so than they've gotten to know this brand of First Financial. But the work that they do with the First Financial kind of sponsored posts through Facebook and the like, it leads to some inquiries. We get a fair few come through the website. Some are a whole lot better than others, but there's a number of them that come through.
Yeah.
What would your view be on for anyone like looking to develop their personal brand? Like we were kind of talking a bit off air. So there's like a personal LinkedIn page and personal Facebook page and those kind of things. But what do you think I should do?
I think you need to keep going as you are, my man. Yeah, and I can get into that. Like, I think you should have, if in terms of your personal brand, I think you should have the jameswrigley.com.au built up with a blog. All right, and I think, look, content marketing overrides everything that you do. Content marketing is a little bit different when you're looking at it from an SEO perspective. It's a little bit different when you're looking at it from social media. And even within social media, it starts looking a bit different on TikTok versus Instagram, as you're a Gary Vee fan, right? So you know the differences. So let me stay away from the social, right? What about with the personal branding from the SEO perspective does overlap into social media when you start looking at YouTube. I think you should definitely start doing YouTube, and then basically in your jameswrigley.com.au site, integrate your blog content for video that you've done on YouTube and embed them into blog articles. And what that does is when you're building content, which I actually prepared for you earlier, this is the dish for you earlier. So like let's say I'm looking at business insurance, or what people are searching for on Google and business insurance, and you can't underestimate what they're searching for, very little they know. And so if you start with like in your blog, any specialty areas that you have, whether it's insurance, have a category called insurance, even break that down into business insurance, income, whatever, like health insurance, and break that down. So the blog will be a big part of your personal brand, and then connecting that with your YouTube, learning what people are searching for on Google, writing the ads, doing a YouTube video, embedding them in, and just being patient with that. And then from your 10, 15-minute video, you can create, as Gary Vee says, the pillar content strategy, where you'll take a 2 or 3 minute clip, condense it down for your Facebook ad, or take a minute clip of like a little bite-size chunk of fact, so for example, if people are asking, what insurance do I need for my small business? Like, that's what they're searching for on Google, right? So you can create like a 1,500 word article about here's every type of insurance you need for your small business. And then what I do for my clients is we break that down into what can we write in that article. So in that article, we look at other keywords around that. So that might be small business insurance costs. Is there any free alternatives for my small business? Is there any grants that are available? So we have the overriding parent topic, and then we look at other searches that they're doing on Google that can then become a derivative of the parent, right? So that will then help your article get more exposure for multiple different types of keywords, and then build your YouTube channel and incorporate that into that. So that article, if someone goes to Google, what insurance do I need for my small business? You can get found 3 times. Look, where's the camera? 3 times, right? You can get found in the Google normal web results, right? The video search, and even within the standard web results, there'll be links to your YouTube. And the 4th is obviously YouTube itself. So did that make sense? That's what I would focus on. So I think your personal brand from a social media perspective, you sort of you understand it because you listen to Gary Vee. But I think from an SEO perspective is where I can give you the most amount of value.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Does that make sense what I said?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And so you're referencing something there about what people are actually searching for. Is there somewhere where you can find what people are actually searching for? Like how?
Well, we have tools. So we've got like one of my favorite tools is the Google itself, right? So what I like to do, I like to use Google because actually Google gives you a lot of information as to searches related to. Do you notice that section when you type in keywords into Google?
No.
No. Okay. So
if I go into Google,
go into Google and type what's your because I can just put financial advice, or what is your main? Do you have a specialty within like superannuation?
Yeah, I'll just put financial advisor Melbourne.
Financial advisor, right? Let me click on financial advisor. Now, I just put financial advisor. I didn't put financial advisor Melbourne just yet, right? So when I click financial advisor, you scroll down, it's got people also ask section, right? Do you notice that when you scroll? Does that generate on your end? Sometimes it might, sometimes it won't.
Oh yeah, people also ask, what does a financial advisor do? Yeah.
So how much should you pay? What does a financial advisor do? This is one of the free ways that obviously I have other tools. And if you click on the last listing, so actually click on what is the difference between a financial planner. Do you see that one? It's the 4th result.
Yeah.
You click on that to make it collapse, and then click it again to bring it up. And then what will happen? You'll get more suggestions. Right. So then you get, is it worth paying? Right.
I'd seen that before, but never given it too much thought as to just blog posts and videos and those kind of things, just answering those questions.
Well, I tell you what, I've got, it usually is. I've built affiliate sites where I've just copied, like this is 2010, where I just copied this section wasn't around 2010. So what I did it for, if you scroll right to the bottom of Google, you will see searches related to financial advisor. So scroll right to the bottom. Google's telling you what people are searching.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
That's what I used in 2010 for my affiliate, and went from 0 to 1,000 people in about 3 months. So it was the acai berry, I don't know acai if you don't know much about it. It was this berry that's exploded in popularity. So I started an affiliate. Yeah. Now they're everywhere. The acai bowls. Like, this is 10 years ago. No one knew what the hell they were. And I just basically took 10 keywords. I just spun the content and got it written by someone from overseas for $10. Wrote 100 articles, and I went from 0 to 1,000 in I think it was 3 months. I'm pretty sure it was less than that, but let's just say 3 months. Copying just that. Now, it may not always apply for you, and you just have to keep the keywords going around. So it does have financial advisor Melbourne, so that's a keyword people will type in. But what I was trying to get, you asked me for your personal brand. It's always the biggest problem people do with their own blog is they just blog about what they think people want to know rather than researching what they actually are asking.
Yeah.
That's the biggest number one mistake. Like, I'm sorry, but no one cares that Sam from Sales got a promotion.
Yeah.
No one cares. No one cares about Sarah's birthday cake either. No one cares about what your business has acquired and which companies it's acquired. That might be good for financial review, but no one cares about it. from a Google perspective. They want to know how you can help them. We're in an on-demand society, and when they ask questions, they want answers. And then, as you know, Gary Vee talks about voice. So this is going to be massive with voice is already developing on Google Home, but the voice searches. So someone asking Google, what is a normal fee for a financial advisor? You have to ask yourself, James, when Google spits back a result and tells that person what the information is, which result do you think they're going to grab from their own search results?
Yeah. I don't know.
Number one.
Which one are they going to grab?
Most likely number one, unless you ask for a different. So financial advisor Melbourne. Now you're getting into location SEO, which is a little bit different. So there may not always be good content, but if you type in, people also ask what is a normal fee for a financial advisor in Australia? How do I find a good advisor in Australia? There you go, James.
Yeah,
how do I find a good advisor in Australia? And then just mention Melbourne in the article. Remember I told you how you break it down. Say, just because you're in Melbourne, could you provide financial advice over Zoom? Or is it something by law you have to sit down with them face to face?
No, so we can provide advice. So I've got clients right around Australia. They don't have to be in Melbourne. Again, there's clients that are overseas as well who kind of deal with their Australian affairs for them whilst they're overseas.
Okay, because because I had a broker and he told me that I think something to do with brokering, they had to see them face to face.
Yeah.
Mortgage brokers. So I don't. Yeah. No, well, if you don't, mate, there is a plethora of content ideas for you to write, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. So there's a takeaway for you, my man. Like I wanted to bring you value. So what I have then is I'll take these suggestions and I'll run them into the tools and that I have, because at the end of the day, content marketing is the foundation. So what you have to work, how you work, what is valuable on TikTok is something you probably have to keep trolling and error on TikTok. But then there's also, you can look at YouTube, what people are searching on YouTube. So even if you just go into YouTube, one of the quickest ways for you without the tools and the gadgets is, how do I find a financial advisor? Same thing on YouTube is a little bit different. You know how when you start typing a search in Google, it gives you the search predictions? That's what you can get a bit of an idea what people are searching on YouTube by the predictions. But I would start your blogging strategy, your personal branding, through what I just mentioned, what people are searching for. So how do I find a good advisor in Australia? I would go onto YouTube. I'll do a 5-minute video, edit it pretty well. Okay, not like mine, which are completely garbage, right? My editing's terrible. I like to think the content I'm delivering is great, but the editing itself,
content that matters,
sucks, right? But for you, you could have like, here are 5 tips. And then you think about it. If you write an article about 5 tips to find a good financial advisor, you embed that into your blog article. People stay on your page longer. They're watching it, and all these there are minor search factors to help you boost that article in Google. And the next thing is to try to get people to link to that article, which is a whole 10-part series and podcast on its own. So that's probably, does that make sense?
It does. Thank you. That's a brilliant tip. I'll look that up.
So how else are you going to show? I mean, at the end of the day, man, in personal branding is not much different than business branding in the sense that you just got to demonstrate your knowledge and give away as much as you possibly can for free to demonstrate value and knowledge and expertise. Because what Google's looking for from their perspective is, it's a part of their algorithm called EAT, which is expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. So the more long-form content you write to deal and answer people's questions, Google will start favoring you because you're getting more click. Because at the end of the day, all they care about is you answer someone's question. And they don't have to go back to Google to figure out their answer. Yeah.
And then they're more likely to use Google next time. So it's the perpetual loop.
And what Google sort of relied on for so long is links to determine quality. So a link to your blog article coming from Amiga Digital, right? I'm in marketing. I say, I'm going to give you a link, James, because you're the best financial advisor I know. Google looks at that and goes, we'll take a bit of that into consideration. If my mortgage broker links to you, then that's a little bit more related. And then if you get a link from the Financial Review or you get a link from Money Magazine, then Google goes, well, they're the platinum links, and that will boost your trustworthiness in Google. So more of your content will rank.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think it's accreditation. It's like an endorsement.
Yeah. That's what you're looking for, isn't it?
Absolutely.
The endorsement from the other websites. Yeah.
And what do people say about you that have knowledge in your industry? Because if you start talking to me about superannuation and, hey man, I've got a spare 30,000, what should I do? Like that's a lot of people search for that on Google, by the way, because I've been one of them. Like I've got a spare X amount of money. What do I do with it? Or should I put it in stock? Should I keep it up for investment in a home? I think that whole direction, you could create mountains of content.
Just the education. It's built on education.
Absolutely. And from listening to Gary Vee that, try not to keep all your best information to yourself. I know the industry you're in is a bit sensitive in terms of what you can share. But I'm sure think about all the free information out there already, but you adding your sort of commentary on that and your expertise. Yeah. You don't have to, and then they think, well, this is and then if they're letting on your webpage, James, and it's like you're providing 5 reasons of how to find a great financial advisor in Australia, then they've just landed on your site to find that out, didn't they? Make sense? Right? So what are they going to do? So then on the webpage, you try to have calls to actions and then get, subtly but politely make sure that the option to contact you is there. Right? All right. So there's calls to action and things like that. So that's something that I would definitely do. So, I mean, look, you listen to Gary Vee, you get the idea, man. And it's just molding that into SEO, because content marketing is the most important in terms of all branding, of all digital marketing. And when I had this conversation in 2008 and we had these debates about content marketing or link building, I was such on the big bandwagon of content marketing. So when people say, you're like Gary Vee talking about content, blah, blah, I was like, oh man, like I was talking about this 12 years ago. I just don't.
We're talking about the same stuff at the same time. Yeah.
Same stuff on a different platform. So it wasn't he gears it towards social media, but I was gearing it more towards SEO. But content marketing was the point. Absolutely. So anything else I can help you with, my man? Any questions, any value? Because really, I want this to make it about you, not about my audience.
Look, nothing really more. I do need to run in a minute because I've got a meeting that I've got to get to. But sure. I don't know. I think just even that, like that's been absolute gold. That just looking at, like I said, I could search Google and stuff all the time, like everyone else does. I never really paid too much attention. Like you'd see those things come up there about what other people are searching for, those questions, and often that's answering the question that I'm searching for in the first place. But never thought about reversing that around the other way to actually do my own content. Of course, it makes sense now when you talk it through, but to do my own content around those things that people are searching for, rather than just what I think someone might be interested in.
Yeah. And then with the coming voice revolution with Google Home, and Alexa's a little bit different, but with Google Home, by producing that long form content, you're also preparing for how people will search more and more in the future. And long form content, meaning those questions that people ask all the time, will be the front and center. Like I rather rank for long form content, 20 different articles, and you bring 4,000 or 5,000 people than trying to rank for that one big keyword that all my competitors are going for.
Yeah, gotcha.
We can talk about that next time.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Well, thanks so much, James. I appreciate it. And sorry about all those hiccups.
That's all right. We got there in the end. Good to talk to you again.
Same. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks.